everybody, welcome to the Movieverse Movie News Show. Today I am joined by Greg on the 7th episode of our show. If you guys like this show, hit the like button, comment down below, and share us with your friends. And most importantly, subscribe to Movieverse so you don't miss out on any of our shows, including our movie news show every Sunday. If you are or you prefer to listen to our show on audio version only, you can subscribe to our show on iTunes and favorite the show on Stitcher Radio. The links will be down in the description. Make sure that you rate our iTunes and Stitcher shows. 5-star ratings help us reach other movie fans just like yourself. And we appreciate every rating, comment, and subscriber we get. You can follow us on Twitter at Movieverse with the number 2, and also on Facebook.com/Movieverse online. And with that stuff out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get into our movie news segment. And the first piece of news that we have today is Sony and Paramount also not going to the Hall H panel of Comic-Con. So earlier last week we heard that Marvel was officially not going, but Star Wars is, and also so is DC. But now we're learning that Sony and Paramount, who they have in the past had Hall H panels, are also not going to be there. And they basically stated the same thing which Marvel said, was that they didn't have enough content that they felt necessary to attend a Hall H panel. Greg, what are your thoughts on these two movie studios?
I mean, it's not surprising, given like right before we started filming, I looked up the upcoming Sony movies that they are in production. Yeah, well, they could go with Skyfall and Ghostbusters, but at the same time, like, yes, Comic-Con is not comics only, but you know, Ghostbusters is a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, like, they literally just started filming, so they don't really have anything to show. You know, again, sure, you could parade out the cast out there, but again, the cost to get them there and all that stuff, like, you know, neither Sony nor Paramount really have anything big that would really quantify spending the money to get the headlines by going to Comic-Con. Yeah, you know, this kind of brings up a question to me of whether or not, you know, the age of having movie studios at Comic-Con is going to start to dwindle, because, you know, Comic-Con for San Diego is primarily a comic book convention, but over the past several years we've seen a lot of movie studios present their, you know, upcoming movies and you know, plans for the future as far as movies go at Hall H, and it's kind of become famous, especially with Marvel and their, you know, rock star like panels. But now, you know, we see Marvel, Sony, and Paramount, all three of them not going to be in Hall H this year. So it begs the question of whether or not the age of movie studios going to Comic-Con is kind of over. It's not over. I mean, you look at the push that DC is doing. Yeah. You know, they have these big bombastic announcements. They want to get out there. Yeah, finally. You know, so, I mean, so, like, you know, but yeah, when Marvel has something to show, they're going to show up at Comic-Con again. Maybe, but, you know, with DC... Yes, maybe not to the extent that they have in the past, but... The thing that I have to say about DC is last year they had a panel for DC, and all they did was just trot out, you know, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, and Ben Affleck out there, and they didn't even say... They didn't say anything to the crowd. They just, like, walked out there and just... And people were just like, I mean, people were still excited because, you know, of, like, the promo art and stuff that they showed, but, you know, DC has to do something to get people excited. And it sounds like they are. Their movies. Yeah, and it does. You know, it sounds like they're going to have a huge panel this year. Star Wars is also going to be there, so I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to show for Star Wars, because we know that J.J. Abrams is really secretive about his movies. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. You know, maybe they announce a new director for the second anthology movie. I think in Star Wars, I think it's the first feature trailer. Like, not these teaser ones that they have released. It's a full-length trailer. Yeah. All right. The other thing, just real quickly, that says to me is that Sony has not decided who the new Spider-Man is. Well, Sony and Marvel. Yeah, but yeah. Well, yeah, but... Well, also, I feel like even if Sony and Marvel had come to an agreement on who Spider-Man was and they were ready to announce it, they still, I don't feel like, would go to Comic-Con, because they wouldn't want to go with just that one bit of information and then have to, like, make up this whole entire panel when the only big news that they have is Spider-Man. But that's the only news I think would be worth it to go in the first place. I think what they will do is once they decide who Spider-Man is, Marvel and Sony will have a joint, like, press
conference like thing, maybe possibly something like Marvel did last year, where they can like both companies can go and they can both like bask in the glory of bringing Spider-Man to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, anyways, but moving on from the Hall H panels to a little bit of Bourne 5 movie news. It's been stated in an article that Jeremy Renner, who was the star of Bourne Legacy, will not be in Bourne 5, but Matt Damon will return for Bourne 5. Also, Julia Stiles will return for Bourne 5, and it's also said that they're looking to cast Viggo Mortenson as the villain for Bourne 5. So what are your thoughts on the casting of Viggo Mortenson, and also that Jeremy Renner is not coming for Bourne 5?
Jeremy Renner not coming back kind of makes sense. I mean, kind of he only got put in there in the first place because Matt Damon wasn't available.
And they said they did say they're going to keep Bourne Legacy and like the Matt Damon Bourne separate for now. So I'm guessing I don't see Jeremy Renner joining it anytime soon.
Yeah. So and also it's Viggo Mortensen. If he does come in, that's going to be a huge steal from him because I feel like he hasn't even acted in any movies in almost a decade.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
we do know that he is very specific about the roles that he takes, and he has all that money from Lord of the Rings, so he doesn't really have to.
And then the other thing is, kind of the first 3 Bourne movies kind of ended their story succinctly enough that I do kind of wonder where they go.
Yeah,
because the guy that actually originally wrote the Bourne books, in all honesty, didn't actually write that many of them.
Yeah.
Yes, there's like 25, 26 of them, but they've all been they've almost all been penned by newer writers.
Yeah. I feel like, I think Mortenson as a villain would be really good to see. I'm not really I don't care either way whether Julia Stiles returns or not. But what I will say is that if they don't take the opportunity to have Renner come back and have Renner and Matt Damon in the same movie, I think that they'd miss out on a very big opportunity to, like, I guess, explore more of the Bourne world. Like, you could have both of them like working together, or you could have them like not working together. I don't know. There's a lot of potential for a movie to have both those.
But you could have like a spy versus spy type of thing where they both get assigned to the same mission and then have to deal with each other.
So that'd be interesting. All right, so now we go back to, go back in time a little bit when all those Sony hacks happened and they were leaking emails, and we heard a couple things about a movie that was supposed to star of Angelina Jolie, and then she dropped out because of the emails that got leaked and stuff like that. Well, now, just in the past couple of days, another email got leaked, but this time it had to do with the deal between Sony and Marvel, and basically Marvel's requirements for Sony to use the Spider-Man character.
I thought they were Sony's requirements.
No, these were Marvel's requirements because it's Marvel's property, and they're leasing it out to Sony. So Sony has to abide by these contingencies for them to use the character. So I want to read off here. According to the agreement, Spider-Man, but not necessarily Peter Parker, must conform to the following. Spider-Man must be male, does not torture, does not kill unless in defense of self or others, does not use foul language beyond PG-13, does not smoke tobacco, does not sell or distribute illegal drugs, does not abuse alcohol. And now we get to a little bit more personal, does not have sex before the age of 16 and does not have sex with anybody below the age of 16, and is not homosexual unless Marvel has portrayed that alter ego as a homosexual. So we'll stop there for a second and talk about these. So basically what they're saying is Spider-Man, like the character, not necessarily Peter Parker, so it could be like Miles Morales, it could be anybody else who's taken up the Spider-Man or Spider-Girl or whatever title. These are the things that they have to abide by. And so what this tells me is that, they're kind of, they're pretty, they want to keep the essence of the character of Spider-Man whenever they're, obviously leasing it out to Sony. And then it goes on to say Peter Parker, these are the requirements for Peter Parker. His full name is Peter Benjamin Parker. He is Caucasian and heterosexual. His parents become absent from his life during childhood. From the time his parents become absent, he is raised by Aunt May and Uncle Ben in New York City. He gains powers gains his powers while attending either middle school or college. He gains his powers from being bitten by a spider. He designs his first red and blue costume. The black costume is a symbiote and is not designed by him. He is raised in a middle-class household in Queens, New York. He attended high school in Queens, New York, and he attends or attended college in New York City, New York. So basically what this tells us is that Marvel was pretty strict on what they could do with Spider-Man and with Peter Parker, which makes sense to me because if you're going to lease out your property, like it's their character that they created, they don't want a studio like chopping up that character and changing everything about him.
Yeah, because this article just took a whole new meaning, because when I read it as these are what essentially Sony was saying Spider-Man or Peter Parker had to be.
Yeah.
So hearing that comes from Marvel, that really changes the context of...
Yeah, this is like the contract of like Marvel saying, hey, you can use this character, but these are the rules that you have to follow in order to use this character.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting ready to rip into Sony for being so like short-sighted. And,
yeah. No, that's the thing. Like Peter Parker has to be a Caucasian, but any other Spider-Man can be black, Hispanic, Italian, whatever. But they just want to keep Peter Parker as, the Peter Parker that we know from the comics.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have a problem with Peter Parker having to be Caucasian as long as they're open-minded enough to let anybody be Spider-Man.
It's kind of more defining, more defining it for who the character is, so you don't get these weird associations. Like, there is all this talk of, well, let's have a black Spider-Man, or let's have a gay Spider-Man, or something like that. And which they're not saying you can't do that. They're just saying it can't be Peter Parker.
Yeah, which, they've actually talked about, the possibility of having Miles Morales, who is an African-American Spider-Man, in the Ultimate Universe, which in the comics now it's being transferred. Like, they're going through this whole like Secret Wars thing where they're rebooting the Marvel comic universe, and so Miles Morales will now be in the same universe as Peter Parker, and Miles Morales is becoming the Spider-Man, not the Ultimate Spider-Man in a different universe. Like, he's becoming the Spider-Man. So I think that in order to get to Miles Morales, and they've talked about this, in order to get to Miles Morales, you first have to have Peter Parker be Spider-Man, because Peter Parker being Spider-Man is the reason why Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man. So I feel like, as long as they say, like, oh, Miles Morales, yeah, he can be white. No. You know what I mean? Like, it's for characters like, like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, like all those like iconic characters that from the comic books, and they've always been, this specific, ethnicity or, things like that. I feel like you need to stick to that. But, nowadays we see, like characters, like, I know last week on the show we talked about the Ancient One, being a female and also a Caucasian female instead of like Chinese male. Not like, I don't think very little of the population even knew of the Ancient One, so I feel like they can kind of take liberties with that. But it's like saying, like, if they were going to be like, oh yeah, we can have Miles Morales, but let's make him like a Caucasian guy, I would be like, no, you need to make him African American.
Yeah, it's two things. One, I hope they're as strict about the other characters, like the Miles Morales or the characters that have played Spider-Girl or whatever, like, that they're just as strict about them as they are about Peter Parker.
Well, and I feel like they would be, because if you want to think about it, like Falcon, like they could have easily made Falcon Caucasian, but you know what I mean. But like they kept him as African American and all that stuff. So I feel like Marvel, that's the one thing that I love about Marvel, is that they care so much about their characters, and we see it here that they have like a strict set of rules that you have to follow. And I feel like it's like this for any of their characters.
But at the same time, there are very few characters that I really feel like they are attached to their race. Like Peter Parker is one of them, Bruce Wayne's another, but that's because I feel like they have such interesting stories as their alter egos. Like, there are just as many interesting stories involving Bruce Wayne as there are Batman. Whereas, like, to me, though, even though Superman is iconic, I could easily see him being another race, because I don't really get the sense that there's that many necessarily Clark Kent stories.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Superman reader, so I can't say too much about that. But something I can compare to Spider-Man, like Peter Parker and Miles Morales, is like Green Lantern, right? You have Hal Jordan and then you have John Stewart. Hal Jordan is Caucasian male and John Stewart is African American. So it's like, if they were going to go with the John Stewart route and they were going to, keep that personality and everything, and they said, oh, we're going to make John Stewart Caucasian, but like, no, you need to, it's kind of like the same thing in that respect. But yeah, so this is just a little bit of like insight into like how Marvel does their dealings with their characters when they, lease them out to different studios. So this is just one instance of that. So I'm pretty sure that if we were to get, some like information like this about like the X-Men, I'm pretty sure it'd be like the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so now moving from the Marvel and Sony Spider-Man agreement leak to some DC movie scoops. Elmayimbe from Heroic Hollywood this past week dropped some major spoilery scoops for us from multiple outlets, actually. He made an appearance on the Marvel movie news show for Popcorn Talk, and also the DC show for that Popcorn Talk as well. And also, he released some other scoops on his website and Periscope. So basically, these are spoiler-filled, so if you don't want to hear them for Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, go ahead and like fast forward another like 5 minutes or so, and it should be safe. But the first one I want to get into is the cameos for Batman v Superman. There will be a Flash and Aquaman cameo, and that's all it is. It's just a cameo, which I like, because I don't want to see too much of them in that movie. I want to concentrate on Batman and Superman. So first, how these cameos come about is that Batman basically breaks into LexCorp, and he's like hacking into their computer system, and he sees some security footage, and the Flash stops a robbery, but you don't see Ezra Miller. You just see like the Flash is like a blur that stops the robbery real quick. And then also he sees another piece of footage that shows Jason Momoa's Aquaman like in some type of like containment like glass, and he's just banging his hand on the glass. So like that has to be some like pretty strong containment glass.
I've seen other like additions on that he's actually fighting a mutated shark.
Yeah,
in that.
That's how. Yeah, that's the next article I was going to get into. Is the way that Jason Momoa gets captured is that he's like fighting King Shark or something. So maybe it's like King Shark from like the Suicide Squad, maybe, because I'm pretty sure King Shark has been in the Suicide Squad.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What I saw just said mutated shark.
Yeah. And apparently the timeline which Suicide Squad falls under is actually before Batman v Superman, like in the timeline. So that would make some sense that like, well, I don't know, maybe we would see Aquaman and Suicide Squad. That'd be interesting. But anyways,
in the further article we get, another.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Okay. So we got the Ezra Miller or the Flash and Aquaman cameo and Batman v Superman, and then on DC Movie News Popcorn Talk, Elmayimbe was just kind of talking to them about different things. I forgot this one. There's also a little bit of Suicide Squad info that one of his contacts was on the set, and Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, he's in the movie, and he was wearing like this like military like get up, and he had like a like a name badge or whatever, and it said S. Wilson. So everybody is saying that that's Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. So that's a little bit of interesting information. Hopefully, and if he's just wearing like military garb, then it's probably like an introduction to the Slade Wilson character. Yeah, he's like not fully Deathstroke yet.
Yeah, I mean usually at least the origin I know of is from the show, and he was in Australian Special Forces soldier.
Yeah, so that'd be really interesting. Like Deathstroke is a really cool character for me, so I'd be really happy to see him like become a full-fledged character like going through the DC universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to when Gonzalez was on Popcorn Talk, he was just talking to him about Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, and they were talking about the scene where you had the Joker and Harley Quinn and Batman that they were shooting in Toronto for Suicide Squad. Well, he dropped that scene where Batman is on top of the car cutting into Joker's Lamborghini or whatever it is. That scene is actually in Batman v Superman. And he let another little tidbit drop that the reason why Batman is chasing the Joker in that scene is because the Joker just killed somebody very close to the Batman.
Which we've been suggesting.
Yeah, which I have been talking about for a long time, saying that you need that story piece to set up this Batman character in this darker universe. So, to give you an idea of the character that we're referring to, in the comics, the Joker kills Jason Todd, who is the Robin of that time. This comes after Dick Grayson, before Carrie Kelly, who is the Robin during the Dark Knight Returns comic book storyline. So when Jason Todd is Robin, the Joker kills him, and it basically, it is looked at as, well, Batman looks at it as his greatest failure. And so to get a really dark and deep Batman for this movie universe, I feel like that death of Jason Todd is very important to the overall structure of that character. So the fact, and Elmayimbe is spot on with almost all of his scoops. So when he says something, I'm pretty sure to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, you need something more dramatic to happen to Batman.
Yeah.
Other than the police are chasing him. That basically essentially drives him out of being the vigilante hero.
Yeah. And one other thing that he actually dropped, well, he reiterated, was they were talking about possible what the possible bigger threat could be for Batman v Superman. And people were saying, oh, well, maybe it could be Aquaman or something like that. And he was just like, no. He's like, it's not Aquaman. And they basically asked him, how much of the movie do you know? And he's like, oh, I know the whole entire movie. And he's like, but I'm not going to spoil everything for you. I have to pick my bits and pieces of what I can tell you. And he basically said that the bigger threat is, in fact, Doomsday. Now, he didn't say how much Doomsday is in it, but he did say that it is Doomsday. So what comes to your head when you hear all this news that he dropped this past week?
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder how much does he enjoy the movie? It's kind of like he already knows everything. So when it comes out, is he even going to enjoy the movie?
Yeah.
Just for that on a lighter side.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of I think it is a mistake to just kind of it could be a mistake to lead off with Doomsday as your great threat.
Well, I feel like
I'm saying it could be.
Yeah.
I know you can do the Thanos approach, and he's just kind of the overarching puppet master. But
yeah, I think I don't think he'd be a puppet master because I don't know how much of a strategist Doomsday is. He's more of just a killing machine. But what they could be is that Doomsday does get introduced at the end of Batman v Superman, and it kind of leads into Batman calling on the Justice League to get together to fight this greater threat. So if they use it that way, I'll be fine with it. Hopefully it's not Doomsday is the big bad of the movie.
Yeah,
I want them to concentrate more on Batman and Superman.
I do think
Lex Luthor, but
the new threat will definitely show up at the end.
Yeah.
As I think it will focus on Batman and Superman, and possibly also the Joker if if he's not giving us a red herring.
Well, I think that the Joker in the Batman v Superman movie is just one scene. For one, it's introducing us to the Batman. It's also giving us the Joker and leading into breaking that off into Suicide Squad.
Or it could also be used as a show that Batman is such a serious threat, or Superman is such a serious threat to humanity, that it's worth Batman coming back to face him.
Yeah, that is an interesting take.
You see,
because
that Batman, scene with the Joker is the opening of the movie.
Yeah,
and he basically decides to hang up the cowl.
Yeah,
and then you start focusing on Superman, and kind of as Bruce Wayne, he gets a little curious, You know, maybe it starts...
And he's sitting there staring at his suit like, should I get back in the game?
You know, probably making some calls to Lex Luthor and all of them, like, you know, it's billionaire club. You know, you know they know each other.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure. Yeah, there's only so many people who are that rich.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, like, do we really need to worry about this guy? Like, you know... And I think that's what brings Bruce Wayne to Metropolis. And
well, so basically to round out this movie news segment with these scoops, for one, I'm happy to see that Aquaman and the Flash are just mere cameos in Batman v Superman, and that they're not going to take up that much time. And it seems like they're kind of weaving it into the movie very well, because the only cameo that they are is just footage on a screen that Batman sees, like when he's like hacking into LexCorp.
Yeah, that's a real clever way to kind of show that these characters are existing simultaneously.
Yeah, and the thing with the Joker and Batman v Superman, and you know, if it is true that the Joker just got done killing somebody very close to Batman, that's perfect way to set up this Batman in this universe, because he is older, he's a little bit more experienced, so he's had a few Robins by now. You know, Dick Grayson is probably Nightwing by now. Jason Todd is dead, and maybe, you know, this Carrie Kelly girl is, you know, trying to, you know, get into the game, and Batman's like, no, I don't need you, I just, you know, one of my, you know, sidekicks just died, type of thing. So it could still be very dark, but still have that essence of Robin in there. But yeah, so it's awesome that he has all these scoops, and, you know, for the most part he is very reliable. So it's cool from that aspect, so you kind of get like some insight into these movies, but at the same time it's like, man, it's like, you know, way too much about these movies.
If you know, like, just think of how easy it would be just to let something just slip out.
Yeah. Well,
because he shows up, like, he's showing up more and more, you know, in online and like channels and that, like,
well, because he started his own website, Heroic Hollywood, so he's trying to make the rounds and try to get like the name of his website out there. So he is kind of like, he's dropping stuff, he's dropping scoops for people, and he's putting his reputation on the line. And so and if that's the case, you know, I mean, I'm inclined to believe him because of his track record.
But at the same time, all it takes is one mess up, and, you know, he gets ostracized from that industry.
You know, I think he did mess up. Originally, he said Scott Eastwood was going to be Gal Gadot's love interest, Steve Trevor. And he actually even came out and said, you know, I got that one wrong, like, you know, forgive me, like, and so then he you know, came back out with, like, you know, people saying that, like, the name on Scott Eastwood's chest is like S. Wilson. So yeah, you know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's probably right on all of this stuff. So, but it, you know, things can change in the movie industry from week to week. So we'll have to see what actually happens. Maybe we'll see some new stuff on this Batman v Superman panel at Comic-Con.
The guy could be Steve Wilson. And he just Steve Wilson, just a regular everyday officer.
Yeah. All right, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our quick hits. These are news topics that we just want to touch on very quickly. So Jurassic World is doing very well at the box office.
#1 movie ever.
So well. Well, not #1 movie ever. Opening weekend, yes.
Okay, yes.
So #1 movie,
apologies.
Opening weekend worldwide and domestically. Jurassic World has beat out Avengers: Age of Ultron and Avengers, the first one, which held the top spot before for opening box office weekend. And funny little tidbit is that Kevin Feige tweeted out to you know, Jurassic World, you know, congratulating, you know, Chris Pratt and the director on taking that top spot. And the picture, I'll put it up for you guys in post, but the picture is basically Chris Pratt is riding a T-Rex holding a gun. The T-Rex is holding Mjolnir, basically saying he is worthy, and the Avengers are all crowded around, like, just staring up at them, like, with question marks over their head, like, what's going on? It was hilarious, and it also shows class from Kevin Feige, because, you know, Marvel has been at the top of their game for the longest time, holding that top spot at the opening weekend box office, and then, you know, he congratulates another movie. So that's
I mean,
class right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's always shown class from the beginning. The thing that I think it speaks more to me is, like, I'm trying to think of, and, like, I can't even think of the last major release dinosaur movie, period.
Yeah.
Like, aside from, like, the third original Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
Which, you know, still 18 years ago at this point. So at the same time, like, Well, I'm talking about the third one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first one was 93. But
the third one was 2001.
Yeah, so
14 years.
14 years, yeah. So it was like at the same point, I kind of want to, part of it, part of the
People
big huge box office is because it is somewhat of a
rarity.
Yeah, like
people are going to be jumping
versus a comic book movie where we get like 4 a year. We have new stories every single day. Like,
yeah. I bet you
something new.
There will be studios jumping on the dinosaur train.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. When you make that kind of money, yes. It's the same thing with all these comic book movies.
Granted, Disney does have...
Studios are jumping on the comic book train, so now other studios are going to be jumping on the dinosaur train.
I mean, Disney does have the Good Dinosaur Pixar movie at the end of the year. Like,
yeah, but...
I know, but that was going to come out regardless.
All right, yeah, so Jurassic World, Kevin Feige being a classy gentleman like he is. But yeah, so congrats to Jurassic World on their great opening weekend. I have the box office numbers here, actually, so we're up to date as of, was it June 19th? It's $325 million domestically and $315 million foreign as of June 19th. So we'll see how far that movie can climb in the box office in the coming weeks and see if it can hold on for a little while. The next bit of quick hits that we're going to go into are there have been some set photos from Ghostbusters because it just started filming this week. And Greg, why don't you take this one?
I'm usually not, and I'm still not really a fan of set photos.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it's being made and it's filming, but again, like these, there's so much stuff that needs to be done post and with editing and stuff that, like, I want to see the whole style of the movie, not just what they're wearing at that particular moment.
Do you like the overalls with the paint?
Again, like, but that's so out of context. Like, I have no idea. Like, like, is that their version 1 Ghostbuster outfit, or is that like she's coming from her 9 to 5 job?
Maybe
like,
she's just a painter,
Yeah, so it's kind of like it doesn't really give me anything.
Yeah. We all know my thoughts on this movie, so I'll just say that it looks how I thought it would look, and we'll leave it at that. All right, next bit of information: Forrest Whitaker is in talks to join Star Wars Rogue One, so that's pretty that's good news. It's always great to add talent to a movie, and Star Wars and Marvel, both from Disney, seem to be doing that pretty well.
Anytime you can add an Oscar winner, one for Last King of Scotland.
Yeah.
He's a very well respected actor.
Yep.
Very dramatic, actor.
Yeah.
So I mean,
be interesting to see which side he's on though, because I could see him on both.
Yeah, I mean, he's played villains before. He's played a good guy. Like, obviously he's gonna be some kind of. I would imagine he's probably some kind of like leader or like general or like squad leader or something like that.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, for either side. I think. Yeah. So great to add talent and Oscar-winning actors and things like that.
I think he's definitely more of like the team side of it. So I would lean more towards the Empire.
Yeah.
But versus being like this like gang of like rebels or like bounty hunters that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in the original Star Wars movies, the rebels had like these really kind of, upstanding like generals and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
it could still be the same way.
But it's kind of, but at the same time, like, usually I would think if you're getting somebody like him, you're getting him to kind of chew up scenes, essentially. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, hopefully we'll learn more about his character because it is Rogue One. So hopefully we'll see some stuff at San Diego Comic-Con coming up in a few weeks. So moving on to the next bit of information, Wolverine is confirmed for Xmen Apocalypse. Go figure.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah, not surprising. But it is the first that we've heard that he is in Xmen Apocalypse. He hasn't even started shooting Xmen Apocalypse yet, and Xmen Apocalypse has been shooting for a month and a half, 2 months now, somewhere around there. So,
which leads me to believe, I have a feeling, is bigger.
They're slowly declining his role, obviously.
Well, I think it's also part of it's him too. Is like he doesn't want to do that physical regiment day in, day out.
Even when he's not filming, he still has to do that, otherwise he'll lose it.
Yeah. But
it's in his best interest to keep it up, so he doesn't have to push himself any harder than he needs to.
I feel like
he's getting older. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I feel like it's bigger than his cameo in First Class.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah.
He's not going to be like the focal point like he was in Days of Future Past.
Even in Days of Future Past, there's one point like that third act when Magneto takes the spoilers, takes the ballpark and drops it around the White House. He puts because he went back into his older body before he had adamantium claws, and so Magneto put an iron rods through him and just flicked him out into the lake, and it was just no more Wolverine for the rest of the movie. Yeah. So they're already starting to cut back his role in the movies a little bit.
Also, too, if now Days of Future Past is canon, he's been picked up by Stryker.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him for X-Men Apocalypse, and then he does still have his last Wolverine standalone movie, and then Hugh Jackman will bow out and be done with it. So,
well, do you think? Because I've heard with the stories of Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen, do you think he's one of the Horsemen? Because he has done that in the comics.
It could be very likely, and I would love to see it.
And that'll explain why he's not being a main filming character.
He could just show up as a villain or whatever.
Yeah, when they face whatever Horseman he is.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. Moving on to the next bit of info, we have a Captain America set photo. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, it's only one photo, but it's an interesting photo. I don't know where this is supposed to be. I don't know where in the world it's taking place.
The main rumors seem to say that it's going to be Wakanda.
Yeah, it looks like it has tropical trees there. But in the photo, we see a sign that has IFIC, which stands for Institute for Infectious Disease.
So you're a bigger comic person than me. Why is this a big deal?
I don't know. I don't know if that's specifically from the comics. I'm just wondering, if you think about infectious diseases, right? What if the general public, in this universe gets to be where they're afraid that they're gonna catch something from either some kind of superhero, an alien, maybe the bad guy from this movie is releasing some type of toxin into the air. It just brings some possibilities to light as to how because I feel if the IFIC was getting involved, it'd be something with the general public has gone wrong to where they're getting sick or something.
Also, too, if you look closer, you see overturned trucks, partially demolished walls, something's going on there.
Gamma radiation?
Red Hulk?
Gamma? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Gamma radiation?
Yeah, you see, that's the, because again, I know Thunderbolt Ross is going to be there, and, he's become, or in certain versions, he's become the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And, that's...
See, that's why I wanted to bring up the set photo, because it brings up so many possibilities of, what could be going on in this movie.
But the other thing, I've seen a lot of other, comments of that, the names, the quote-unquote villain.
Yeah, Baron Zemo.
Yeah, the connections with him.
Yeah.
Which, again, I don't know. I'll plead ignorance. I don't know anything about Zemo.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Zemo. I just know that he's a Captain America villain, and he always has some type of maroon, or fuchsia, thing that's always covering his face. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the photo right now, and it's kind of
destruction.
Yeah, it's kind of it is kind of curious on what that looks like something the Hulk could do.
And also they have some kind of mechanism up here, and I feel like there'd be a camera up there, so there might be shooting down, so they might be trying to capture something big. You never know. And Thunderbolt Ross will be in the movie, so a Red Hulk could be a possibility. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring up that to kind of get people's minds churning a little bit. And then moving on to the last bit of quick hits for us is so WB had another corporate business meeting with other big businesses
and stuff like that,
and they basically said that and so WB basically said that they are going to be releasing 10 DC movies over the next few years. And so I'm trying to do the math, and so far there's 2 movies a year, so it would take 5 years to do 10 movies if they're doing 2 movies a year. So I feel like maybe we're getting more movies than we know about. Maybe that's another announcement that DC's making at Comic-Con this year, possibly. I don't know why I keep talking like this now.
Because you're
I'm asking a bunch of questions.
I mean, it's twofold. One, next few years is a very
relative,
like it could be 5 years, because this was an investor's call. It's not a press, So I mean, it could just be that they, they're doing 5 years, 2 movies a year out there, like, or maybe they'll add up, or let's see what they have: Batman, Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League, like Aquaman, Wonder Woman,
Flash.
Well, as far as like what's announced, like that's those 5.
I mean, they have quite a few. I mean, they have movies announced all the way out till like 2020. So
okay, then you've got Flash movie.
So maybe he is referring just to the next 5 years.
I mean, it could be like, or maybe it's 4 years or something. There's a couple new ones sprinkled in or something, like
Batman standalone and Superman standalone is what I'm thinking,
or a new Green Lantern.
No, I think Green Lantern was that
already announced?
Yeah, stated for like 2020. So yeah, the main reason why I brought this up is because they haven't announced a standalone Batman or a standalone Superman movie yet out of that time frame that they've released.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that's a little bit of insight into those movies.
Yeah, because I mean, there are they have not announced 10 movies.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of, but at the same time, like, as it was a business call, and investors are looking long term. So
they could just have been referring to the next 5 years, and
5 years is a short time in business. Like,
I guess so.
When you're looking at like investing and planning,
I guess to them, because they're so high up, 5 years is a short time. But all right, so that's it for our quick hits. Now we're just going to move into. We only got one question this week and not many comments. So you guys get active again. Send us some comments. You can send us questions into movieverseonline@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at Movieverse with the number 2 to send in your questions, and we'll answer them on the show. But Chris, he gave us a question. He was like, "What is your favorite bad movie? Like a movie that is just bad, but you don't care. You like it anyways." Go ahead, Greg. Let's hear yours.
So actually, I've got 2 to throw in this. One, the first one, it's so bad that like it's just comical.
Yeah.
Like it's not intending to be that way, but Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes, okay.
The sequel to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I watched that back in college as part of like a bad movie marathon. That was by far the worst.
Yeah.
Like it was so bad, you're just laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
And like your side hurts.
Okay, what's your second one?
The second one is the one that I actually enjoy watching. Like I recognize it's bad.
Yeah.
It's called Iron Sky.
I think I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix. Basically, the premise is the Nazis were losing World War II.
Yeah.
So they send a group of Nazis to the moon to hide out until it's ready for their return.
That's awesome.
So these eventually, and then also imagine, instead of Barack Obama as president, Sarah Palin.
Oh gosh.
And they launch a new mission to send men to the moon, and then they find the Nazis on the moon.
Yeah.
And that leads to the Nazi invasion of Earth.
All right. Yeah, I got a couple. I had one, and I just thought of a couple more. So let's go back in time to like the 1980s, I think. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret of the Ooze. That movie is, you have that nostalgia factor with some movies, and that was definitely one of those movies that I had nostalgia factor with. And I was actually, last year I bought like the 3-disc or the 3-movie set for 1, 2, and 3 that series. I didn't like number 3; that one was terrible, and I didn't like it. But number 2, I went back and watched it last year or earlier this year. And I didn't realize
with Vanilla Ice.
It was that's my favorite scene. That's my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Go ninja, go.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's that movie. I really do enjoy that movie, even though I know that it's not that great. And then also more recent movies. I actually enjoyed the first G.I. Joe movie, even though it's not that good of a movie. I don't know. I just enjoy it. So those are mine. trying to think if there's any other ones I can think of.
So most of the ones I recognize I see they're bad and I don't like. I mean, there's also ones like where people do say like Tron Legacy was a bad movie.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good. I think it's a good movie, though.
I agree. I do like that movie, and
like,
I think it's. I
don't think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So
with
that's the kind of the hard part with the question.
I think we are like the people who are just like, no, Tron Legacy is a good movie, right? So we can't really say that one. But there's so many people who are just like, no, that was terrible. I guess people say the same thing about Tron Legacy that you say about Avatar: all style and no substance. But I like both Avatar and Tron. So maybe I'm just a style guy. I'm all about style, You
just don't like substance.
But anyways, that's going to do it, guys, for this episode 7 of the Movieverse movie news show. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up button, comment below, and share us with your friends. Subscribe to Movieverse. If you guys are listening to us on an audio podcast version, make sure that you're subscribing to us on iTunes or favoriting our channel on Stitcher Radio, and make sure you leave us ratings on iTunes, and 5-star ratings help us reach more movie fans like yourselves. And so we appreciate every rating that we get, every subscriber that we get, and every comment. I always try to comment with you guys down below in the videos and all that stuff. Make sure you guys are sending in your questions to movieverseonline@gmail.com, and also tweeting at us at Movieverse with the number 2. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/movieverseonline. And with that being said, that'll do it for this episode, and we will catch you guys on the next video.